If you're listening to this right now, there is a good chance that life hasn't gone the way you hoped. Perhaps you've been kind, honest, patient, generous. Yet, somehow, life still found a way to hurt you. Maybe you've lost someone you loved. Maybe someone betrayed your trust. Maybe you've worked harder than everyone around you, only to watch someone else receive the reward. Or perhaps you're simply tired of asking the same question. Why? Why do good people suffer? It's one of the oldest questions humanity has ever asked. Kings have asked it. Children have asked it. Scientists, philosophers, saints, and ordinary people sitting alone in the quiet of the night, all searching for the same answer. If God is good, why is there pain? If kindness matters, why do cruel people sometimes seem to succeed? If life is fair, why doesn't it always feel that way? You may have heard many answers. It's karma. Everything happens for a reason. Be positive. Sometimes those words help, but sometimes they don't. Because when your heart is hurting, simple answers rarely feel enough. This audiobook isn't here to convince you that suffering is easy. It isn't. Pain is real. Grief is real. Loneliness is real. Disappointment is real. And pretending otherwise doesn't heal anyone. Instead, we're going to do something different. Together, we'll explore one of life's deepest mysteries. Not with fear, not with guilt, but with curiosity, compassion, and hope. We'll discover what ancient wisdom teaches, what modern psychology has learned, what resilient people have discovered through experience, and perhaps most importantly, how suffering can shape us without defining us. You don't need to agree with everything you hear. You don't need to change your beliefs. All I ask is that you keep your heart open, because sometimes healing doesn't begin when life changes. Healing begins when understanding changes. So wherever you are, whether you're walking, driving, resting, or simply searching for peace, thank you for allowing me to walk beside you for a little while. Let's begin. Dedication. This audiobook is dedicated to every person who has ever cried in silence, to those who kept smiling while carrying pain no one else could see, to those who wondered whether life would ever make sense again. May these words remind you, you are not alone. Your story is still being written. And hope has a way of finding those who keep their hearts open. This journey is for you. What does it mean to be a good person? Before we explore why good people suffer, I'd like to begin with something even more important. I'd like to talk about goodness itself, because in a world that sometimes feels unfair, it can become easy to wonder, does being good even matter anymore? If you've ever asked yourself that question, you're not alone. Perhaps you've chosen kindness, even when others chose anger. Perhaps you've been honest, even when dishonesty seemed easier. Perhaps you've forgiven, loved, served, given your time, your energy, your heart. And somewhere along the way, life became difficult. Maybe a relationship ended. Maybe someone disappointed you. Maybe illness arrived without warning. Maybe a dream you worked so hard for didn't unfold the way you hoped. And quietly, a question may have appeared in your heart. Did my goodness make any difference? I want you to hear something today. Something I hope you'll remember long after this audiobook ends. Your goodness was never wasted. Not one act of kindness. Not one honest word. Not one tear you cried for someone you loved. Not one moment when you chose compassion instead of bitterness. None of it was wasted. Because goodness is not only about changing the world around us. It is also about shaping the person we become. Every kind choice strengthens something beautiful inside us. Every act of love leaves a mark, not only on others, but on our own hearts. Yes, life sometimes brings storms. Storms that visit people of every age, every background, every belief. But here's something I've come to believe. A storm can bend a tree. Yet the deepest roots often grow because of the rain. Perhaps goodness is like those roots, quietly growing, even when no one else can see it, even when life feels unfair, even when the answers don't come easily. So before we ask why suffering exists, let's remember something beautiful. The world has never needed more clever people. It has always needed more kind ones. And every time you choose goodness, you become part of that light. Never believe your kindness has gone unnoticed. Even when people forget, life remembers. Your heart remembers. And somewhere, someone's life is gentler because you chose to be good. Before we continue, I'd like you to take a slow, gentle breath. Think of one moment when you chose kindness, even though it wasn't easy. Perhaps no one noticed. Perhaps no one thanked you. Perhaps you even wondered if it mattered. Now let this thought settle gently into your heart. Your goodness was never wasted. Every act of love, every moment of patience, every choice to do what was right, has shaped the person you are becoming. Take one more slow breath and carry this truth with you. The world becomes brighter every time someone chooses goodness. Today, I choose to believe that my goodness has value, even when life feels uncertain. Chapter 2. The question. Every human asks, sooner or later. Almost every human being whispers the same question. Why me? Sometimes we whisper it through tears. Sometimes through anger. Sometimes in silence. When there are no words left, perhaps you've asked it too. Why did this happen? Why now? Why my family? Why my child? Why my health? Why my dreams? If you've ever asked those questions, please know this: you are not weak. You are human. Questions are not the opposite of faith. They are often the beginning of wisdom. Think of a child looking up at the night sky for the very first time. Why are there stars? Why is the moon so far away? Curiosity is how we grow, and in much the same way, pain awakens questions we may never have asked otherwise. Questions about life, about love, about purpose, about God, about ourselves. Sometimes, the greatest transformation begins, not with an answer, but with an honest question. There is something beautiful I have noticed about people. The deepest wounds often awaken the deepest compassion. Someone who has experienced loneliness is often the first to notice when another person feels left out. Someone who has walked through grief knows how to sit quietly beside another grieving heart. Someone who has struggled often becomes the one who reaches back to help another rise. Pain has a mysterious way, not of making us smaller, but of making our hearts wider. Not always, not immediately, but often, if we allow it. Perhaps today, you don't need to understand everything. Perhaps today, you only need permission to ask your questions without shame, without fear, without believing you've failed because you don't yet understand. Close your eyes. just for a moment. Take one slow breath. And another. Is there a question you've been carrying quietly? A question you've been afraid to ask? Or perhaps a question you've been trying to answer all by yourself? You don't have to solve it right now. You don't have to force clarity. Simply allow the question to rest. Without fear, without judgment. Sometimes peace arrives before the answer does. And that's okay. Take one more gentle breath. And when you're ready, let's continue our journey together. Today, I give myself permission to ask honest questions, to trust the journey, and to believe that hope can grow even before every answer arrives. Chapter 3. When life feels unfair. There are moments in life that leave us speechless. Moments that make us wonder if fairness truly exists. You see someone with a generous heart facing unimaginable hardship, while another person who has caused pain seems to move through life without consequence. And quietly, a thought appears. This isn't fair. If you've ever felt that, I want you to know, you're not alone. Fairness matters deeply, because our hearts are naturally drawn toward justice. We believe that kindness should be rewarded, that honesty should be appreciated, that love should be returned. And often, those things do happen, but not always. Life doesn't always unfold in the order we expect. Sometimes, the seeds we plant take longer to bloom than we imagined. Think of a bamboo tree. For years, it appears as though nothing is happening. Beneath the soil, invisible roots are quietly growing stronger. Then one day, it rises, faster than anyone expected. Perhaps goodness is a little like that. Not every act of kindness produces an immediate reward. Not every loving word is appreciated right away. But goodness is never empty. Every kind choice plants something. Sometimes it changes another person's life. Sometimes it changes our own. And sometimes its greatest impact won't be visible until much later. Life has a way of weaving together moments that only make sense when we look back. That doesn't erase the pain. It doesn't mean we should pretend everything happens exactly as we hoped. But it reminds us that today's chapter is not the entire story. There are pages still waiting to be written, new mornings still waiting to arrive, new people still waiting to meet you, new opportunities still waiting to find you. So if life feels unfair today, be gentle with yourself. You don't have to force a smile. You don't have to pretend everything is okay. Simply keep your heart open, one day at a time, because hope doesn't ask us to ignore reality. Hope simply whispers, there is more to your story than this moment. A moment to reflect. Close your eyes and take a slow, comfortable breath. Think of one difficult season that eventually taught you something valuable. You probably couldn't see the lesson while you were living through it. Yet today, you recognize that it helped shape you. Perhaps the challenge you're facing now is also preparing you in ways you cannot yet see. You don't need to know how. You only need to remain open to the possibility. Take another gentle breath and allow hope to quietly return. Today, I choose to believe that every act of goodness plants a seed, even when I cannot yet see it growing. Chapter 4. Suffering is not your identity. Have you ever noticed how easily pain tries to rename us? We stop saying, I am experiencing anxiety, and begin saying, I am an anxious person. We stop saying, I went through a failure, and begin believing, I am a failure. We stop saying, my heart was broken, and quietly, we begin to wonder, maybe I am broken. But today, I'd like to gently remind you, there is a very important difference. You are not your pain. You are the person walking through it. Imagine standing outside during a heavy rainstorm. Your clothes become wet. Your shoes become muddy. The wind feels cold, but does the rain become who you are? Of course not. The storm is something you're experiencing. It is not your identity. Emotional storms work the same way. They can surround us. They can exhaust us. They can make us feel lost, but they cannot decide who we are. That choice still belongs to us. Somewhere beneath the fear, beneath the disappointment, beneath every unanswered question, the real you is still there. The loving you, the courageous you, the hopeful you, perhaps quieter than before, but never gone. Sometimes, healing isn't about becoming someone new. Sometimes, it's about remembering who you've always been. Every sunrise begins in darkness, yet the sun never forgets how to shine. And neither will you. There may be days when hope feels far away, days when simply getting out of bed feels like an achievement. If that's where you are today, please hear this with all the kindness in my heart. You do not have to earn your worth. You do not have to prove that you deserve love. You do not have to become perfect before life begins again. You are already enough, simply because you exist, and no amount of suffering can take that away. There is something inside you that pain cannot touch. It is your kindness, your capacity to love, your quiet courage, your beautiful humanity. Hold on to that, because that is who you truly are. Close your eyes. Take one slow breath, and another. Think of one label you've placed on yourself because of something difficult. Perhaps, I'm not enough. I'm broken. I'll never be happy again. Now, imagine placing that label into the palm of your hand. Look at it. Thank it for trying to protect you, and gently let it drift away. Like a leaf floating down a peaceful river. Watch it become smaller and smaller until it disappears. Take another slow breath and quietly remind yourself, I am more than what happened to me. Today, I release the labels that pain tried to place upon me. I choose to remember who I truly am, a person worthy of love, worthy of hope, and worthy of peace. Chapter 5. What if life is happening with you? Not to you. There is a question I'd like to gently place before you, not because I expect you to answer it today, but because it has the power to change the way we see our lives. What if life isn't happening to punish you? What if life isn't happening to break you? What if it is quietly working with you, helping you become someone even stronger, even wiser, even more compassionate than you imagined possible? I know that may feel difficult to believe, especially if your wounds are still fresh. And that's okay. You don't have to force yourself to believe anything. Simply keep your heart open to another possibility. Imagine A sculptor, standing before a block of marble. To someone passing by, it may look as though the sculptor is damaging the stone, chipping away, piece by piece. But the sculptor sees something hidden inside, a masterpiece, waiting to emerge. Life sometimes feels a little like that. We only experience the pieces that seem to be falling away. Yet perhaps something beautiful is slowly being revealed. Not because suffering is beautiful, but because the human spirit has an extraordinary ability to grow through it. Think about the people who have inspired you most. Rarely have they lived perfect lives. More often, they have walked through loss, disappointment, fear, and uncertainty. Yet somehow, they allowed those experiences to deepen their kindness instead of hardening their hearts. That is one of life's greatest miracles. Not that pain exists, but that love can continue in spite of it. Maybe you don't need to ask, why is this happening to me? Maybe a gentler question is, what is this experience inviting me to become? Not because you deserved this, not because you asked for it, but because even here, growth is still possible, and hope is still alive. Close your eyes, take a slow breath, and let your shoulders soften. Think of one challenge that has quietly changed you. Perhaps it taught you patience, or courage, or compassion. Maybe it helped you understand someone else's pain in a way you never could before. For just a moment, allow yourself to recognize the strength that has grown inside you. You may not have chosen the journey, but you can choose the person you continue becoming. Take one more gentle breath and carry that possibility into the next chapter. Today, I choose to believe that even in life's hardest moments, love can still grow, hope can still bloom, and my heart can remain open. Chapter 6. The Quiet Strength Within You. There is something I hope you'll never forget. Strength doesn't always look the way we imagine it should. Sometimes it looks like climbing a mountain. Sometimes it looks like standing on a stage and inspiring thousands of people. But more often, strength looks much quieter. Perhaps it looks like getting out of bed on a morning when your heart feels heavy. Perhaps it looks like making breakfast for your family, even though you're carrying worries no one else can see. Perhaps it looks like smiling at someone when you've been crying inside. Those moments may not seem extraordinary, but they are. We often admire the people who accomplish remarkable things, yet some of the strongest people in the world never appear in the headlines. They quietly keep loving. They quietly keep giving. They quietly keep hoping, even when life has tested them again and again. Maybe that's what real strength has always been. Not pretending everything is okay, but continuing to move forward, one gentle step at a time. Take a moment and think about everything you've already survived. There were days you thought you wouldn't get through, moments when your heart felt broken, times when you wondered if tomorrow would ever feel lighter. And yet, here you are, still breathing, still growing, still searching for hope. Please don't overlook that. Your journey deserves to be honored. Have you ever watched a river flowing around a rock? The river doesn't become angry because something stands in its way. It simply keeps flowing, patiently, quietly, day after day, little by little. It shapes even the hardest stone. Your life is doing something very similar. Every kind choice you make shapes your heart. Every act of forgiveness shapes your spirit. Every time you choose hope instead of giving up, something beautiful grows inside you. You may not notice it today. Others may not notice it either, but growth often happens quietly, just as roots grow beneath the earth, long before flowers appear. Perhaps you've been stronger than you've ever given yourself credit for. Not because you've never been afraid, not because you've never cried, not because you've never struggled, but because, even in the middle of uncertainty, you kept going. And that matters. If no one has told you recently, allow me to say it now. I'm proud of you, not because you've been perfect, but because you've refused to let life's difficulties take away your kindness. You've continued to love. You've continued to care. You've continued to hope. And that is a remarkable kind of strength. There is a quiet strength within you. It has carried you through every difficult season of your life. It is carrying you today. And it will continue to carry you. One gentle step. One peaceful breath. One hopeful tomorrow. At a time. A moment to reflect. Let's pause here. Just for a moment. Take a slow, comfortable breath, and as you breathe, think about one challenge you've already overcome. Not the biggest one. Just one. There was probably a time when you wondered if you would ever make it through. Yet somehow, one day became another. One step became another. And little by little, you found your way forward. Perhaps you didn't notice your own strength then. Perhaps you were simply doing what you needed to do. But looking back now, can you see it? Can you see the quiet courage that has been walking beside you all along? Take another slow breath and let this thought settle gently into your heart. You have survived every difficult day that has brought you here, and that same quiet strength is still with you today. Signature affirmation. Today, I choose to trust the quiet strength within me. I may not know what tomorrow will bring, but I know I don't have to walk alone. With every breath, with every step, hope is gently guiding me forward. Chapter 7. When your pain becomes someone else's hope, there is something extraordinary about people who have walked through difficult seasons. They don't always have the perfect words. They don't always have the perfect answers. But somehow, they know how to make another person feel less alone. Perhaps you've met someone like that. Someone whose quiet presence brought you comfort. Not because they solved your problems, but because they simply understood. There is a special kind of wisdom that doesn't come from books. It comes from living, from loving, from losing, from healing, little by little. Perhaps that's one of life's quiet miracles. The places where our hearts have been broken can become the places where compassion quietly grows. Think about someone who has experienced loneliness. How quickly they notice another person sitting by themselves. Think about someone who has walked through grief. How naturally they know when another heart is hurting. Think about someone who has struggled. How gently they encourage others to keep going. Why? Because pain has taught them to see with different eyes. Not eyes of judgment, but eyes of understanding. Perhaps your experiences are doing the same for you. Not because suffering is something we should wish for, it isn't. But because love has an amazing ability to grow, even in difficult places. Together, let's remember something beautiful. Your story doesn't have to be perfect to become meaningful. You don't have to have all the answers to offer hope. Sometimes, the greatest gift you can give another person is simply saying, I understand. I've been there. You're not alone. Never underestimate the power of your presence. A kind word, a listening ear, a gentle smile. Those small moments have a way of staying with people long after they happen. Perhaps someone is waiting for the kindness that only you can offer. Not because you're extraordinary, but because you're wonderfully human. And sometimes, a compassionate heart is exactly what the world needs most. As we continue this journey together, I'd like you to remember something. Your pain does not have the final word. Love does. And every time you choose compassion, you remind the world that hope is still alive. A moment to reflect. Let's take a quiet moment together. Take a slow breath and gently think of someone who showed you kindness when you needed it most. Perhaps they didn't have the perfect words. Perhaps they simply stayed. They listened. They cared. They reminded you that you weren't alone. Now, ask yourself, how might I offer that same kindness to someone today? It doesn't have to be something big. Sometimes, a smile, a message, a few moments of listening can change someone's entire day. Take one more slow breath and quietly remember, the love we give away never truly leaves us. It has a beautiful way of finding its way back. Signature affirmation. Today, I choose to let my experiences deepen my compassion. I choose to listen with kindness, to speak with love, and to remember that even the smallest act of care can bring hope to another heart. Chapter 8. Learning to make peace with today. Have you ever noticed how often we tell ourselves, I'll be happy when life becomes easier, when the worries are over, when my health improves, when the children are settled, when I have more time, when I finally have all the answers. For so many years, we keep waiting for life to become peaceful. And while we're waiting, life quietly keeps passing by. I've been wondering lately, what if peace isn't waiting for us? At the end of the journey, what if it's gently waiting for us? In this very moment, not because everything is perfect, but because this moment is the only place where life is actually happening. Take a moment and look back on your own life. How many things did you worry about that eventually worked themselves out? Not all of them, but many of them. And yet, while they were happening, they felt enormous. Perhaps that's what worry does. It convinces us that we must carry tomorrow before we've even finished today. No wonder our hearts become tired. I've learned something that I'd love to share with you. Our hearts need places to rest, just as our bodies do. Not forever, just long enough to remember that we don't have to carry everything, every minute of every day. Perhaps today, you could give yourself a small gift. just for this moment. Put down one worry. You don't have to solve it. You don't have to understand it. Simply set it beside you. For a little while, take a slow breath. Notice the air as it gently fills your lungs. Notice your shoulders beginning to soften. Notice that, for this one quiet moment, nothing else needs your attention. Life will still be there when this chapter ends. The emails, the responsibilities, the questions, they can wait just a little longer, because right now, you deserve a few moments of peace, not because you've earned them, not because you've finished everything, simply because you are human, and every human heart needs somewhere safe to rest. Maybe peace isn't something we find. Maybe it's something we allow, little by little, breath by breath, day by day. And perhaps that's enough for today. A moment to reflect. Let's sit together for just another moment. Take one slow breath and gently ask yourself, what have I been carrying that I don't need to carry right now? Perhaps it will still need your attention tomorrow, but not this minute, not while you're here. Imagine placing that worry on a nearby table, knowing you can return to it later. Now notice how much lighter your heart feels, even if only a little. Sometimes, a little lighter is exactly where healing begins. Today, I give myself permission to be fully present. I release the need to carry tomorrow before it arrives. In this moment, I choose peace. And this moment is enough. Chapter 9. Opening your heart to tomorrow. Have you ever noticed how disappointment can quietly make us afraid to hope again? Not all at once. Little by little, we become more careful, more guarded. We tell ourselves, I don't want to be hurt again. And that's understandable. When life has been difficult, protecting our hearts can feel like the safest thing to do. But I've been thinking about something lately. What if protecting our hearts also keeps us from experiencing some of life's greatest joys? Think about a garden. Every flower you see has survived wind, rain, dark nights, and changing seasons. Yet every spring, it blooms again. Not because it knows nothing difficult will ever happen, but because blooming is simply its nature. Perhaps hope is a little like that. Not something we force, something we gently allow. Maybe your heart has been disappointed. Maybe you've trusted and been let down. Maybe you've loved deeply and experienced loss. If that's true, please know your heart isn't weak. It has simply been carrying more than most people can see. And yet, the beautiful thing about the human heart is that it continues to love. Not perfectly, not fearlessly, but courageously. Little by little. Perhaps tomorrow, you won't feel completely different. Perhaps healing will still take time. That's okay. Healing was never meant to be rushed. The sunrise never hurries. The seasons never compete with one another. Nature reminds us that beautiful things take the time they need. Maybe your journey deserves that same kindness. So today, you don't have to promise that you'll never feel afraid again. You don't have to promise that you'll never cry again. Simply make one gentle promise that you won't close your heart to the possibility that beautiful days still lie ahead, because they do. Maybe not every day, maybe not exactly as you imagined, But life still has surprises waiting for you. New conversations, new friendships, new laughter, new mornings, new reasons to smile again. And when those moments arrive, I hope you'll welcome them with the same beautiful heart that has carried you this far. A moment to reflect. Let's pause together. Take a slow breath and gently ask yourself, when was the last time I allowed myself to feel hopeful? Not because everything was certain, but simply because I believed tomorrow could hold something beautiful. Perhaps today, hope feels very small. That's all right. Small seeds grow into beautiful trees. Small acts of kindness change lives. Small moments of peace become lasting memories. Hope doesn't have to arrive all at once. Sometimes it begins with one quiet thought. Maybe something beautiful is still on its way. Take one more slow breath and let your heart rest in that possibility. Today, I choose to welcome tomorrow with an open heart. I don't need to know every step ahead. I only need the courage to keep believing that beautiful things are still possible. Chapter 10. Your story is still being written. As we come to the end of this journey together, there's one last thought I'd love to leave with you. When we first began, we asked a difficult question. Why do good people suffer? Perhaps you were hoping for one simple answer. The truth is, life is often more mysterious than that. Some questions may never be answered completely. And maybe that's all right. Because something beautiful happened while we were searching. We discovered that your goodness still matters. Your questions still matter. Your kindness still matters. Your hope still matters. And most importantly, you matter. Not because life has always been easy. Not because you've always had the right answers. But because you've continued to love, to care, to keep going. That is something truly beautiful. If there's one thing I hope you carry with you long after this audiobook ends, it's this: your story is not defined by the chapters that were painful. It is shaped by the love, the courage, and the hope you choose to carry into the chapters that are still waiting for you. There will be mornings you haven't seen yet, conversations you haven't had yet, people you haven't met yet, smiles you haven't shared yet, dreams you haven't dreamed yet. Life still has beautiful pages waiting to be written. And I have a feeling some of your most meaningful moments are still ahead. When difficult days return, and they sometimes will, I hope you'll remember not everything we've said, just one simple truth. Be gentle with yourself. Speak kindly to yourself. Trust your heart. And keep choosing goodness again and again, because goodness never loses its value, even in a world that sometimes forgets to notice it. Thank you for allowing me to walk beside you for a little while. It has been a privilege as you step into tomorrow. May you carry a lighter heart, a quieter mind, and the gentle reminder that no matter what life brings, you never have to stop being the beautiful person you already are. Your story is still being written, and I truly believe some of its most beautiful chapters are yet to come. A moment to reflect. Before we say goodbye, let's take one final quiet moment together. Take a slow breath. Notice how you feel. Compared to when this journey began, perhaps not everything has changed. Perhaps some questions are still waiting for their answers. That's all right. Healing rarely happens all at once. It happens one gentle moment at a time, one loving choice at a time, one hopeful tomorrow at a time. As you continue your own journey, I hope you'll remember to be as kind to yourself as you are to everyone else. Take one more slow breath and quietly remind yourself, I am enough, I am loved, and my story is still unfolding. Signature affirmation. Today, I choose to walk forward with hope. I choose to keep my heart open, to trust that goodness matters, and to believe that my greatest chapters may still be waiting just ahead. Before we part, thank you. Thank you for spending this time with me, and for allowing these words to become part of your journey. I hope that whenever life feels uncertain, you'll remember one simple truth. Be gentle with yourself. And whenever you need a moment of hope, a quiet reminder, or simply a comforting voice, you're always welcome to come back and listen again. Until we meet again, take care of your heart. Keep choosing kindness. Keep believing in hope. And never forget, your story is still being written. Thank you for listening to this audiobook from Luminspire Edutech. Until our next journey together, take care, stay hopeful, and keep learning. Goodbye.